we have to talk about Fantastic Four and Fantastic Four Silver Surfer. I know we would have some more fans anyway.
Can we take one picture? Here, Jessica. Here, please, Jessica.
First. I think you just saw the sizzle reel, and it might have been reminded of some of her many great projects. But Jessica Alba just had an amazing career, has earned over 800 million at the box office. She's the author of several books. She's an entrepreneur. And I'm really excited we're getting to talk to her now because she's starting an exciting new chapter in her life, which is starting her own production company. So we've got a lot to talk about. Please help me welcome Jessica Alba. Hi, good morning. Jessica, thank you first of all just for being here. Thank you so much for coming to Jeddah, to the Red Sea Festival.
It's the second time I'm here. I love it here. It's an honor actually to be a writer. What a beautiful country, culture, city.
Nice. Sending love to Jeddah at the start. I wanted to start not with the past. We're going to get on to some of those very famous roles that you know, but let's start with now. Because I'm so excited. I think you've always been someone who's smashed open doors. Maybe that's a mixed metaphor. Open doors, held open the doors, smashed through the glass ceiling. You did, yeah, in your action roles, you probably have smashed a door. But you've always been someone, I think, showing women a new path in Bollywood. And now what you're doing with that is you've started your new production company, Lady Metalmark. And why was now the right time to start that?
Well, I spent, I would say, probably 12 years on my business, the Honest Company, to the public. I brought in a new CEO. I got her kind of settled, and then I was like, all right, great. I get to go and go back into the thing that really is my passion, and that's storytelling. I think there's nothing more powerful of a medium to open people's minds, to open people's hearts. And for me, it's where we get to dream. It's where we get to see what's possible. And for me as a little kid, I was very sick. When I was a kid, my parents didn't have much money, and I spent a lot of time in the hospital. And I remember watching movies and TV shows, and I would always fantasize that I could be the superhero, and that I was one of these larger-than-life characters. And I think because there are no boundaries on what's possible in storytelling and filmmaking, it really, and as children, when your minds don't understand limitations, it allowed me to really expand what's possible for me. And so I would say that was my first impression on what I could be when I grew up. And I was able, even though I was a sickly kid in hospital, I was able, you know, by the age of 19, for all intents and purposes, she was a superhero. She was a superhuman, that's for sure. And I got to play someone that had the strength that defied, you know, humans and had like reflexes, and I got to live in this sort of futuristic reality and tell a very honest and human story. So that I think is always going to be my passion, and I believe it's why we're all here. So I met Robert with Jim Cameron at Jim's premiere of like a documentary he had done on the Titanic. And I saw this like tall Mexican with a cowboy hat, and I was like, "Hey, who are you?" And he was the guy. I was like, "Oh my God, you are that guy! You are the Mexican filmmaker that we know. You know, Desperado,
El Mariachi.
Yeah, he did for like $7,000. What? And he's just on tour." And I was like, I need to work with you. I was like, I'll do anything. I'll be a background player. And I don't know if Dark Angel had even come out when I met him. And then they were casting for Sin City. And he was like, I was like, I want to get an audition, and they were like, you're just not right. And I dyed my hair blonde, and I knew I needed to play Nancy. I wanted to lean into her innocence. The world of Sin City, everyone is sort of, corrupt, and dark and brooding, and she's sort of this glimmer of light inside of this dark world. And I was like, I think I can channel her purity and her innocence, because that's what I see in her. She's this light. And I was like, please let me audition. And he did. And I was like, then, after working with him, I was like, we're cousins. I don't know if you know this, but we are cousins. We're gonna work together. We're family. And from then on, we really just bonded. I felt like we've known each other our whole lives. We grew up in a very similar culture, being Mexican American, And so then from then on, he's just like, hey, I have this movie. Will you be in Spy Kids? Will you be in the Chatting? And I'm like, yes, of course. We're going to do Sin City too. All right. And then now we're putting together a really fun action movie, kind of like a heist family drama or family dramedy inside of a heist movie, all Latino cast. And so, we're pitching that now at the studio.
Oh, keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
That sounds
so
absolutely
Michael
amazing.
Peña and I, we brought it to Robert, and Robert joined, and so it's going to be really fun.
Oh, what a dream team. And also just to reunite with somebody you really like and creative collaboration with. We have to talk about Fantastic Four and Fantastic Four. I know we have some more on those films, what's it actually like? We don't get to talk to people who are in the Marvel films, so what's it actually like being on one of those sets? I mean, is it just as huge as we imagine, or is it maybe like a normal job, a normal day at work?
It feels like a normal day of work, but it also feels really big. And I don't think you feel really the gravity of it until you travel and you see, the world, and you see how it touches
so many people.
And I remember we did a premiere in Berlin, and we did a premiere in Spain, and Italy, or London, and then Mexico City. And just everywhere there was just like these fans that had like comic books they've been collecting since they were children, and there's just this like they grew up with these characters, and Stan Lee really like allowed them to dream about what's possible for themselves. They felt seen as well, because I think we all live with the duality of the person that people think you are versus the person you really know you are inside. And all of these comic book, these characters in these comic books represent the duality, I think, of our person. It was really beautiful to see, just how much people love these characters.
And Sue Storm was quite groundbreaking. Once again, we didn't really see this kind of female role within the Marvel Universe. So can you talk a little why that was so cool to really see?
They were doing other Marvel movies at the time, but this was the one I was drawn to because I just loved that she wasn't a villain. She was a woman that I wanted to look up to. Like she was a little type A, which is fine.
That's okay.
And I always wanting to be in control of everything and keeping the boys in line. But she was very maternal. Like she was very kind, and then but she was also not a pushover, and she spoke her mind. And I really thought that she was just had a great moral compass, and she was someone that boys and girls, no matter who you are, you can look up to her, and you're like, yeah, her. Yeah. And you don't get that with a lot of women. Oftentimes, the women in these stories need to be saved by a guy, and if they're not the one that needs to be saved, and this is back then, they're different now. They're the villain. They're sort of like the problem in the story. And I was like, how about the woman be the hero? Wouldn't that be cool? And how about she do it in a feminine way? She didn't completely lose the fact that she's nurturing and she's maternal, but she's also a badass, and she's also sticking up for herself. And so to be able to do both.
And when you finish a Marvel film, do you take like a little something from the set to you remind you of your Marvel experience, or do you have a WhatsApp group with your Marvel friends? I know this is a while ago.
It was a long time ago. I hate to age myself.
Do you have a favorite scene or like a favorite stunt you did in those two films? Is that
My least favorite was when I reappeared on a bridge.
No, I'm a bit sorry. Yeah, that was
very familiar. Because I'm kind of, I grew up with a pretty conservative family, and so I'm kind of a modest person, and so that was, it was something I was like, oh no, not this, and I dreaded that scene for weeks. But the scene where I got to any of the stuff in the Silver Surfer was pretty cool. Like, I got to move the cars and stuff. But getting kind of ricocheted back into the wall, getting blasted, those were always fun.
That was fun.
Back then. Now, no thank you. I have a lot of whiplash from those days.
I'm curious about the world.
Yes, yeah. And can you see potential for you to do collaborative work, with the region, or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Haifa Mansour, I've been talking to her for a few years. We have something we've been cooking up to work together on. A really beautiful, tender story. Another actor who's going to be here later in the festival, he's also attached to this movie. And I hope we get to bring it to life, because it really is a tender story about an aging parent and a daughter. And I love these tender, beautiful stories. And then Dakota Johnson, who's here, she's going to be directing the first film, and I'm attached to be in the film. And it was written and starring a girl who's autistic. And it's about a mom and this daughter and this girl who wants her independence. And it's a beautiful, tender story. And we hope that, it would be amazing to be able to show it here next year when it's finished. But these are the types of things that, for me, as an actor, as a producer, that I want to support are female filmmakers. My movie that I did with Netflix, it was #1 in over 60 countries. It's an action movie. I love action, and I was like, what if we did an action movie that had heads of departments, all women, the camera department, female, and the DP, she was a woman, the director, a woman, all the lead producers, women. Most heads in my departments were all women, and guess what? You still got the action, you got the grit. It was awesome. It did really well, and the filmmakers from Indonesia, Mali, Surya, and I just, it showed that. And they gave me no marketing. They were marketing, Netflix was marketing other things. This was not the thing that they were like, yeah, we're gonna totally get behind this. And we crushed it. And it just shows that you have a soul, you have a perspective, and just the power of what women can do, even in a genre completely dominated by men. And so, yeah, I think I want to do more of those types of things for sure.
We just started to prepare the cast of the 3 movies of Fantastic Four. So did you get a chance to see the last one and one before, and what do you think about it?
I have not been able to see it yet. I usually watch those movies with my kids, and if Sonic was out, my son used to watch Sonic 85 times in a row, or Dogman, which we did watch 85 times in a row. So I kind of have, especially when it comes to movies that are for the family, my kids dominate what we watch, for sure. So, but I have to convince them, yes, we have to see it. I do love Marvel, and they're so fun. Yeah, thank you so much for